Okay, so the first type of special right triangle is called a 45-45-90. 45-45-90. They have a special relationship. What kind of triangle is a 45-45-90? It's a right triangle. Keep going. Isosceles. 45-45. So these two sides are always going to be the same thing. So whatever x is, give me an example. 2. Whatever x is, Dalton says 2. If this is 2 and this is 2, your hypotenuse is going to be 2 square root of 2. Every time for a 45-45-90. Okay, I gave you this yellow sheet in hopes of making this a little bit less confusing. So if I told you that we were going to talk about 45-45-90 triangles and 30-60-90, which one of these would be which? Which one, Maggie? How do you know that? Yeah, because the sides look even, right? If this is 45-45-90, these two have to be the same. That's how I know this one was my 45-45-90. So at the top, go ahead and label this 45-45-90. These are your special right triangles. So I've already labeled the 90-degree angle, but this one is going to be 45, and this one is also 45. So let's go ahead and label what we do know. Let's call this x. If this is x, it's going to have the same distance as this other side. These are also called legs. You can call these legs in the hypotenuse. This is going to be the same as this. Now to find your hypotenuse, which is always across from the largest angle, and our largest angle in this case is 90, is going to be x square root of 2. Okay, so if I'm given the legs, if you're given the legs, so we know the legs, which I'm calling x. In order to find the hypotenuse, you will always just do x square root of 2. X square root of 2. But if you are wanting to find what x is, well, I want to know what x is, you have to take whatever the hypotenuse is and divide it by the square root of 2. So what did I just do? I took this formula, h equals x squared root of 2. Let's say I know the hypotenuse, and I want to solve for just x. Well, just divide by the square root of 2 to get x by itself. That's how I got this formula. Divided both sides by the square root of 2. So let's look back at our piece of paper. Let's look at example 1. Suppose an isosceles right triangle has legs with a length of 3. So in this case, x is 3 and x is 3. So what is the hypotenuse? Yeah, not a trick question. This one is not. 3 square root of 2. That is the best case scenario. That is the easy way. It's easy if we know what x is and we find the hypotenuse. Okay, example number 2. Not always so easy. Suppose an isosceles right triangle has a hypotenuse of 9. So I'm just going to redraw this. It has a hypotenuse of 9. So this is 9. I know it's 90. I know these are the same. So these have to be the same. But I need to find what x is. How do I find x? Hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. So to find what x is, I have to do the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. So when you actually plug in your hypotenuse, which is 9, you get x is equal to 9 square root of 2. How many of you remember having to rationalize the denominator? Please tell me more than one person. Rationalizing the denominator, y'all heard of that? You have to see it? Okay, you need to see it. Do you remember your teacher saying you can't leave a square root in the denominator? Okay, that's what that means. You can't leave a square root in the denominator. So to get rid of it, it's called rationalizing it. How do I get rid of the square root of 2? Well, you have to rationalize it, you just multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. You multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. Okay, I'm going to take the long way just for today. And once we get past this, if you see what I'm doing, you don't have to do all this. But what is 2 times 2? Square root of 4. And then 9 square root of 2. Well, what's the square root of 4? 2. So you could go straight to 9 square root of 2 over 2. So x is 9 square root of 2 over 2. Okay, just for today's purposes, let's check. So shouldn't my hypotenuse be this times the square root of 2? Hypotenuse should be whatever x is, square root of 2. Okay, let's check it. Hypotenuse should be 9 square root of 2 over 2 times square root of 2. Square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4 is, so 9 times 2 over 2, well, 9 times 2 is, divided by 2 is, or 2's cancel out, so our hypotenuse is 9. Is that correct? Yes.
Wait, do you have to do that because the hypotenuse is given to you?
No, I just wanted to show y'all that it works both ways. So if you're given x, you can find the hypotenuse. If you're given the hypotenuse, you can find x. Okay, let's look at our exercises. Number 1 is best case scenario. What's my leg? 8. So the hypotenuse is always going to be 8 square root of 2. Or in this case, x. So x is equal. Are there any more that are best case scenarios? Are there any more where I know the leg, I have to find the hypotenuse? 3, yeah. So what's 3? X is equal to 4 square root of. So know the leg, know the hypotenuse, know the hypotenuse, know the hypotenuse, know the hypotenuse. Okay, those are my only best case scenarios. Because when I'm having to find the leg from the hypotenuse, it takes a little bit more work. So let's do number 2 together. I know the hypotenuse is 3 over 2. I want to find the leg. In this case, yes. In this case, yes. So in this case, you know it's 3 square root of 2, so x is equal to 3. But if there's not a square root of 2 in the hypotenuse, you can't assume that. There has to be a square root of 2. Okay? So that one was pretty easy. But look at, yeah, same thing for 6. Same thing for 6, right? I know it says 24 square root of 2. And let me show you why. If I know the hypotenuse is 24 square root of 2, hypotenuse is equal to x square root of 2, right? So that is equal to x square root of 2. Well, when I divide everything by square root of 2, what cancels out? Square root of 2, so what's x? Now, you do not have to show me that every time. Okay? I just wanted to show you. Now, 4 and 5 are a little bit trickier because they don't have square root of 2. Yes, Ivy? because I know that if it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the leg is x and the hypotenuse is x square root of 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So those four are best case scenarios. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Our hypotenuse is equal to our leg times the square root of 2. Well, what is our hypotenuse? 18. So substitute it in 18, which is equal to x square root of 2. Well, I have to divide by the square root of 2 by the square root of 2. This cancels. I cannot leave a square root in the denominator. I have to rationalize it. I have to rationalize the denominator. Square root of 2 on the bottom, square root of 2 on the top. So leave the top the same. 18 square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which is 18 over 2 square root of 2. So what's x equal to? Can I simplify it any? 18 divided by 2? 9 square root of 2. 9 square root of 2. Okay, I want to leave 5, 7, 8, 9. I know these look difficult because there's words and not just triangles. Guys, they're just telling you how to set up your triangle. If a 45, 45, 90, so draw 45, 45, 90. The hypotenuse is 12, so draw the hypotenuse as 12, and then solve it like we just did. Okay? And I realize I'm rushing through this a little bit. We're going to take another day tomorrow to go through this. But can we do 5, 7, 8, and 9 once I go to my meeting? Okay, let's go to the back. All right, next one's called a 30, 60, 90. That's the second half of your page. So go ahead and list 30, 60, 90. I know one angle's 9. I know this one's 90 because I already labeled it. But how do I know how to label the other two? 60's bigger, so it goes with the bigger side. 90 goes with the longest side. This is the second longest side, so across from it should be 60. This is my shortest side, so across from it should be the smallest angle, which is 30. All right, so here's your special case for 30, 60, 90. This is your smallest side, right? Don't label that as X. I'm sorry, I changed my mind. Or do y'all want to use X or S? I use S sometimes for shortest side, H for hypotenuse, and this for leg. Do y'all want to use those, or do you want to use X, X, and X? S. Okay, so label this as S for the shortest side. If you know the shortest side, this is the easiest way out, because the shortest side can be used to find all of these. So whatever the shortest side is, to find the hypotenuse, you do 2 times the shortest side. 2 times the shortest to find the hypotenuse. To find this leg, I call this leg, you have to do shortest times the square root of 3. Okay, so if I have shortest, it's the best scenario. Because to find the hypotenuse, I multiply this by 2. Okay, come back. So to find the hypotenuse, I've done this times 2. Now come back to shortest. To find leg, I do shortest times the square root of 3. Okay, let's practice. Example number 3. Okay, in a 30, 60, 90. So I'm going to draw. This is my 90. This is 30. This is 60. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is 5, centimeters. Find the other two sides. Let me give you some formulas. I'm calling this side L. This side is H. And this side is S. Okay? So to find the hypotenuse, you do 2 times the side, small side. To find the length of, or to find the leg, you do side square root of 3. Okay, side square root of 3. But I don't have any where I know how to find the side if I'm given either one of these. So just kind of work your formulas that you do know until we have S. What if I have the hypotenuse? What if I have the hypotenuse? How could I find S? Yeah, hypotenuse divided by 2. All I did was divide both sides by 2. Okay, and you see how I'm just tweaking the formula to work in our best interest? Here, if I'm given the leg and I want to find S, I would divide both sides by the square root of 3. So I would get S is equal to the length over square root of 3. Okay, I really hope we can get through one example. Leave this right here to the side so you can refer back to it. Okay, I know the hypotenuse is 5. I know the hypotenuse, so what do I need to find? S and L, okay? I'm going to use either one of these, S and L. In our case, which one of these looks better to use? Top, not square root, right? Okay, so let's find the shortest. Well, what's my hypotenuse? So to find the shortest, I do 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5 what? Centimeters. This one? Okay, now I need to find leg, and I know side, so I need to find leg, and now I know side. So I'm going to use this one, right? So I know leg, no, I'm finding leg. I know what my side is, 2.5 square root of 3. Okay, that wasn't bad. Centimeters.
Oh, so you don't have, I just have to work it out?
No. You only have to work out the square root if it's in the denominator, because it can't stay there. Now, let's work backwards. What is the side? Okay, pretend that's all you know. Side's 2.5. How do you find the hypotenuse? Times 2. What's 2.5 times 2? Check. How do I find the leg? Side times what? What's the side? 2.5 square root of 3. Okay, so you can, depending on what they give you, you can work all the way around. Now, yes, having the side is way easier. Okay, but you can work your way around it. Let's do example 4. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, 90, 30, 60 triangle, the longer leg is 8. It's unitless. It's 8. Find S and find H. I know leg. We have to find S and H. I know the leg, so we have to find S. So this is going to be my best bet right here. So to find S, I know that I have to take the leg over the square root of 3. What is my leg? 8. So I'm going to have 8 over square root of 3. What do I need to do? What's it called? Rationalize the denominator. Good. You're going to hear that a lot in Algebra 2. Okay, so let's rationalize it. Square root of 3, square root of 3. 8 square root of 3 over square root of 9, which is okay, so this is 8 square root of 3 over 3. Okay, see how it just gets kind of messy, and that's okay. It's okay to get messy. Even, okay, I'm just going to stop. Hypotenuse. What do I need to do to the side to find the hypotenuse? Multiply it by 2. Don't multiply your square root by 2. Multiply the numbers in front of it. 2 times 8 is 16 square root of 3 over 3. I don't think so. Because it's just like multiplying it by 2 times 1. Because it's a fraction. So you get 16 over 3 square root of 3. Right? Sometimes simple math is harder than easy math. Times 2, which is, yeah. You only multiply the top. Alright, did we get the side? Did we get the leg? We already knew the leg. Did we get the hypotenuse? Yes. Okay, this is a little tricky, right? I mean, we got to wrap our heads around it. So, let's look for best case scenario. Let's get the easy ones out of the way. They flipped their triangles, didn't they? They're not in the same way we've been used to seeing it. Is that okay? Yes, you just got to concentrate more. So, number 1, across from 30 is the smallest side. So, that's our S. That's what we've been calling S. So, S is equal to 1/2. So, how do I find the hypotenuse? By 2. 2 times 1/2 is 1. How do I find the leg? How do I find the leg?
1/2 square root of 3.
1/2 square root of 3. Do I have a square root in the denominator? If I have 1/2 times the square root of 3, really, I could simplify that to be, you can have a seat, the square root of 3 over 2.
Put it in the calculator and it could be 9.
Square root of 3 is as simplified as the square root of 3 can go.